Here are 10 suggestions for EA Play. We're focusing on console, and these games will also be available on Xbox Game Pass when that does fully release. So that's kind of really exciting to see. So we're starting off with Titanfall 2, and like with many of the games you're going to see here, there are previous entries that you should also check out, and I think the first Titanfall is kind of cool, but this one really does advance the formula. It's got a great narrative-driven campaign that is the bond between a Titan and its pilot. There's great multiplayer, there's cooperative action to enjoy, and it's just a really well done evolution of the first game. They really do push the boundaries and have some really great fun parkour driven combat in it, with lots of different ways to customize your classes and experience the combat here. It's just something that a lot of people really love, and a game that I guess you could say really didn't quite get enough of an impact at launch as it perhaps should have, because this is a really great title. Star Wars Battlefront 2, they've added a ton of content since the game released, spanning all the eras of the Star Wars franchise and series. They've got tons of beautiful worlds, intense game types, and ways to play. There's also a really well done narrative-driven campaign that also got expanded upon with a DLC that kind of took things a little bit further and wrapped it up very nicely. There are many ways to play, whether you want to battle alone, battle with friends, take the battle online, and play across just a wide variety of maps and locations, whether you're battling as these special heroes or just being regular infantry. It's got a neat sense of earning in order to get better tier weapons and tools and everything like that, and better characters during matches, and it's just a really well done experience that's gorgeous to look at. Here's The Sims 4, the ultimate live your fantasy life and build whatever sort of crazy house you want. Create your Sims, make a family, make an individual, make a kid, do whatever you want within The Sims as you go around building with just such a wide variety of options, and you just kind of simulate a life, you know? There are tons of DLC packs available if you want to take the experience a little bit further. You could do all kinds of weird things. The game actually does handle quite well on the console platform, and there are many ways to interact with it and just enjoy The Sims. You can build from like tons of different house template like little designs, and create your own walls and create your own furnishings and build whatever house you want, and then simulate whatever sort of life you want as you go around meeting other Sims and just having a wild time. It's got a very in-depth character customizer and just allows unlimited freedom in regards to living out your virtual sim life. Need for Speed Heat. So this is the most recent entry in the series, and it's actually pretty cool. You race during the day, you race during night. They've got different setups to them. There's a neat crew dynamic as you're working your way up in this intense city. It really does look fantastic. It's got a fairly bumpin' soundtrack. It's got quite a bit of content to it, whether you're wanting to race alone or race online, or even just enjoy a sort of connected hub opportunity in order to see others out there doing their own racing. And it's just kind of cool. There are many ways to play, lots of different challenges, lots of story, or just, you know, drive around taking on other challenges and doing whatever you want to do in this fairly intense open world racing game. It's got that story, but it's also got that sense of freedom just to kind of drive around with a bunch of different cool cars that you can completely customize and bring some unique styles to it. It's fun, and I certainly enjoyed whipping around in this large-scale city and then country area. This is Mirror's Edge Catalyst, an expanded take on the first game with a deeper look at the character and actually having a full straight up story. It's just a single player game, and it's very parkour driven. It's actually quite well done. It looks visually fantastic. The style of the world is really sleek and cool looking, and again, story is very important in this one. It's got some interesting characters, some interesting music as well, and a really neat sense of scale as you're working through this vast city of the future, you know, getting the job done and exploring a fairly interesting story along the way with this main character that really does sort of fall into the center of what this whole mission is about. And I think they do a really good job expanding the scope of what the original game was, because it certainly wasn't quite at this level. Mass Effect 3, I could have chosen the second one, but the third one is kind of a good, end and entry point if you're wanting to jump into this. I do suggest playing from the start, as each of your choices throughout the entire series comes together across each of the different games, or even the second one is absolutely stellar too, but I've just chosen the third one here. So this game has a great combination of a single player campaign that is quite lengthy. It's been expanded upon with extra DLC for the narrative, so different missions, and it's sort of really the conclusion of the Mass Effect series, forgetting that Andromeda was a thing. And there's also the multiplayer component, which is still strangely active and neat as you work in a group in order to battle waves of enemies, and kind of factors into your story, which was a bit of a weird choice in my opinion. But yeah, it's a pretty well done game. It's quite large in scale. You make intense choices, and it really is sort of the conclusion of the character that you create and explore with. This is Dead Space 2, again a series where you kind of jump in on any of them and have a good time working through them. This is an intense, single-player driven experience where things kind of get upped quite a bit. The danger, the intensity, the action, and the horror really reaches new heights. And I tried to show off, I guess, something that maybe isn't too spoilerish. You're not always in a straitjacket most of the time. You're in a bit of a engineer situation. Well, I guess this one you get a little bit more battle ready, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. You're going around blasting things, but this is a great setup to it, just kind of introducing some of the horror aspects. It's creepy, it's scary, it's dangerous. There's a lot of chaos to kind of deal with in this one, a lot of danger, and again the action gets pumped up considerably in this one. I think it's a good entry point for those curious about the series, or really just wanting a good, scary, and generally creepy time. Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2. So this is a really great series for the younger ones out there. It's a ton of fun to play, whether you're on the plant side, the zombie side. There's a ton of content that was added to this. So many unique maps, so many modes. There's just all kinds of things going on in this one. You can just play and play and play, and it's generally just a very well done experience that I thoroughly enjoyed. I played the first one a lot more, but this one has the potential for you to spend even more time playing it, because it is something that offers quite a bit of gameplay. So many characters, so many different things you can unlock and use, and it's just very, very well done and super polished. And they also have little events that go on as well, and still at this point, which is kind of neat to see. And it's just great for all audiences, really. It's quite a blast, and I think it's a good way to get the younger ones into the more intense and mature Battlefield experience with Battlefield 5 here. So this is just the most recent entry. It's got war stories you can play through in the single player aspect, and it's got an expansive multiplayer. There was an attempted battle royale, but I don't think that really took off too much. But yeah, it's the latest entry in the series. A lot of refinements, gorgeous visuals, intense action in the multiplayer. But they do have the other Battlefield titles available as well, and I suppose I could have suggested the Bad Company series, which I absolutely adore, or even Battlefield 1. But yeah, this one I kind of threw up here because it looks great, and it really is a visually interesting title. And I think the single player stuff is kind of neat too. But then again, the multiplayer also has been expanded upon with a decent selection of maps, intense combat, and yeah, it's just kind of a really scenic kind of game, a really intense, large-scale multiplayer experience, and something to check out because it is kind of a cool thing that leads off of the Plants vs. Zombies. Finally, we have Unravel 2. I do also suggest playing the first one, as it's really great, but this one expands the scope of the series, offers a little bit more of a cooperative style between your little adorable Yarnies, and I do actually have a real Yarnie that I created, which is adorable and awesome. There's different color combinations now, and what it is a game that has a very realistic environment with some neat semi-real physics going on, and just a really lovely tale behind it. It is at its heart a fairly hardcore platforming experience, but still a great one at that, with some really neat little lovely moments to it, and again, very gorgeous realistic style visuals. They really did a great job on this series, and I hope we get to see maybe something more out of it in the future. But that's the EA Play. I hope you enjoyed. It's going to be on Game Pass, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe and like and stuff like that.